Okay, so we are going to just start a really quick unit about Native Americans. And last year in the spring, I already gave you a quick video about the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incans. This is just strictly focusing once again on Native Americans in the northern hemisphere of North America, where we live in the United States. So we talked briefly about how did we get here. We know about that scientists realized that about 30,000 years ago there was an ice age, which allowed, of course, what you know of and you've heard about were land bridges that connected the various continents. And you can see, once again, I'll point out if you look at the top of this map that is right here, you can see these different ice sheets that were covering parts of the north, and you can see obviously the ice that's a little bit further south. And I mentioned, I think, in the last video just about how if you look at the white down in South America, along Chile, Peru, you can see that's where the Andes Mountains are today. Now, the big connection that we're going to make, and most scientists give a lot of credit to, is that a lot of Native Americans, or the first people to come to and settle in what is the United States today, came across the Bering Land Bridge. This is the Bering Land Bridge up here. And as mentioned before, like I said, this is a quick review. So they walked across the Bering Land Bridge. It's about a 50-mile trek from the present day Alaska to Russia. And so, yes, they could have done that. Honestly, if they really wanted to, theoretically, they could have been over here in like 2 days if they didn't have obstacles of mountains and everything else. Other people say some of the first people to migrate to this area would also sailed across the Pacific. Now, this is just an example of Beringia. You see the tan on the left and the right, and then you see a little bit of that burnt orange in the middle. That's all that burnt orange is covered by water today, but that at during the ice age, that would have been you could have been able to walk right across it. So this question here is, what is the climate and geography like in each area? For some of you, you have lived in the Midwest and the Northeast, so you know that you're going to have like hot, humid summers and cold winters, and oftentimes there will be a lot of snow. If you go down from there, you'll see to the American Southeast around Florida, very hot and muggy. Lots of tropical storms and things like that. We're learning about that now. You hear about it in the news now. And fairly mild winters for the most part. Once you get to the plains, you're going to have hot summers, cold winters. Lots of wind because when you're in the plain states, you have a lot of flatter land area. And so the wind's just going to kind of rip through everything. This is an area where you tend to have a little bit more of tornadoes. Not always, it can be in other places, but I'm just saying as a general rule of thumb, you'll see more tornadoes in the plains areas. As you move your way west, you go to the American Southwest. I think you're familiar with Arizona. Parts of Texas, New Mexico can often be very deserty. They do have mountains there. They do get snow in the American Southwest, but those are typically in the cities and towns that are at a higher elevation. Then you go into the Great Basin, just north of there, that little oranger, more of a pumpkin orange part. Great Basin is going to be considered Utah, Nevada. If you've ever driven through those areas, you can see that there are going to be some mountains, going to be more brown, more rocks, and things like that. Then you get to California, and California is going to be, as mentioned before, a hunter and gathering society, depending on where you live. You could also have a lot more access to fish and everything like that. And of course, the Northwest Coast, which is going to be Oregon, Seattle, going to rely on the sea a lot more. This is a map. I like this map because this is by no means fully extensive, but this is a map showing you the different tribes sprinkled throughout or scattered throughout the United States of America and, of course, northern Canada, all the way up to northern Canada. This is like I said, this is by no means like every single tribe out there. If you look to the right on this map, if you can find kind of where New York, Massachusetts is, you can see the Pequot. This is the guy when we were listening to Tommy Orange speak the other day. This is the tribe that he was talking about. This would be the tribe that the Pilgrims came in contact. One of the tribes the Pilgrims came in contact with. Powhatan down here is going to be when you talk about Jamestown and the legend of Pocahontas and John Smith. That's going to be a very famous name. You've also probably heard about the Shoshone with Sacagawea or Sacagawea, depending on how you want to say it. And I think somebody in class also was talking about Mount Shasta, and then you have the Shasta tribe over there in northern California, just to pick out a few. Tribes of the American Southwest. I'm not going to go into major detail on this because we're just going to be looking at the Native American tribes in general and what ended happening to each group in each area. And we will then now also look at what is currently happening to the various Native American tribes today. So I'm just going to give you a couple pictures. Here's some, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Mesa Verde, but the Cliff Dwellers. These are some Anasazi ruins that are pretty cool to actually go see. Anasazi art. You can see some arts like this throughout California. Oftentimes in more of a Joshua Tree type area, you'll find a few places where there's supposed to be some Native American art. Another example of cliff dwelling, and you can see the person on the right. It's kind of hard, but if you look at this right here, you can see a person in green doing some rock climbing. So just imagine trying to get to your home every day. I'm sure they had some other way to do it, but I'm not going to do that if it was me. I don't like rock climbing. The Hopi, Pueblo, and Apache, we will talk about these. These are southwestern tribes. They're believed to be the descendants of the Anasazi, which were the first kind of, they would have been around the same time as the Mayans and the Aztecs. Eastern woodlands, not going to focus specifically on them right now just in this video, but just giving you a visual of this map. The eastern woodlands are going to be known to have a couple really big towns, villages, what do you want to call them, cities. Cahokia was a mound building society where they believe there were about 20 to 30,000 Native Americans living in one community. And we often talk about the Mayans and the Incans and the Aztecs having these big communities, but we also had big communities of Native American tribes throughout the United States of America. So that's why I wanted to just go ahead and let you know it's not all hunting and gathering. There were like established agricultural societies that were running at the same time as the cities of London and Florence, Italy, and things like that. This is a picture of the Great Serpent Mound that is found in Ohio, and you can see if kind of that raised part there is the snake. We're going to just keep moving on. That we will talk about the Southeast tribes, the 5 civilized tribes, focusing on the Indian Removal Act, and then what has happened to them recently in the news. And we are going to just stop there. And that is going to be, like I said, our really quick introduction to Native Americans. And then we'll be moving on to our Christopher Columbus trial.